So up next we have Tropo, who is we're gonna have Jason Goecke, who is the CEO of Voxio and maker of Tropo, and then we're going to have Adam Kalsey, who is a product manager on Tropo. Thank you.
Hi. There's no long feedback up here, so I have no idea if the mic's actually working. But if not, I can just get really loud. It's okay. As he said, I'm Adam Kalsey from Voxio Labs, the makers of Tropo Cloud Communication Service. Jason Goecke, president of Voxio Labs. I'm the product manager for Tropo. And we've got a little demo here where we're going to show off some Ruby stuff that we put together, if it ever shows up on the screen up there.
Yeah, we're working on it.
So we're going to show some Ruby stuff that we put together for the Speech API to allow developers to very easily connect to the Speech API without going through all the authentication and all those kinds of things, just to quickly write a little bit of Ruby code to do that. And then a demonstration where we're going to show a sales guy who's on the road, gets a telephone call into his phone number, finishes the call, and can quickly update some notes in Salesforce. That seems to be a real popular option. Maybe we should have them come in and sponsor next time. We'll have the notes updated in their Salesforce contact record live with a transcription from the Speech API.
Yep, so hopefully that'll come up while we're doing this. We'll go through the presentation first. You have that clicker.
Yeah, whoever's running the clicker is getting a phone call on the clicker device. So
one of the things that we've done that we'll go through here is now it doesn't want to click here. Let's go here. Okay, now it works. You sent it to voicemail. All right. So what we've done is we've actually created a Ruby gem on top of the API itself to make it reusable, etc. And I'm sure there'll be node plugins coming in, all these pieces, and publish that out on GitHub. And the whole thing from start to finish took me literally about an hour to write. And most of that was actually writing the documentation for it, writing the unit tests, and really packaging it and having it ready to go. The API itself is actually quite straightforward. But we did add some things to it. For those of you that don't know Ruby, I've gone through here, we'll be posting this on SlideShare, how you can actually install it, getting up and running while you're here at the event. It's very simple. You just do a curl. It'll install a Ruby interpreter all within your user. You don't have to do root or anything like this. And you're off and running by going to rdm.io. Yeah, that's up, so that's good. And then really just to get this installed, you just type in, to your command line, whether you're on Windows or you're on OS X, gem install AT&T_speech. But I've been hearing other people calling their libraries Watsons. Maybe I should go out and see if I can grab the Watson name on the Ruby world as well. And then we actually have the code itself, which is rather straightforward. So I'm actually going to go through it over here. You can see that all right. So you simply require the library itself, right? You'll bring in all the dependencies that you need. And then you have to have, of course, your API key and your secret, which you get from the developer website. And then simply whatever your file contents are. And I've actually taken the example that AT&T provides on the developer portal and included it in here for testing, which is their Boston Celtics recording, which is a WAV. So you simply read that file in, store it, and then it's really one method to go ahead and post. And you can say what type it is, whether it's audio WAV or AMR. By default, it'll be WAV on that side. And then it'll actually go out and post to the AT&T Speech API. And right now, this only does the streaming or chunked interface, because that's really what's being encouraged and what's best. So it's just doing the chunked side of things. And then we've also done a couple of other things, because there's one thing that the API doesn't have right now, which is the ability to do a callback. If you're leaving a message that's longer, it can actually take a while to do that processing and return back to you. So we've actually provided two other additional mechanisms in the library that aren't on the API, which is the ability to return a future. We're actually using a great Ruby library called Celluloid, which is an actor framework, that actually allows us to say, okay, start this process and return back to me once it comes back after doing that HTTP post, when you get 200 OK and whatever the result is. So you can actually go on and continue processing within your code from there. And then we have another one using more of a Ruby idiom at the bottom here, which allows you to go ahead and actually pass a block that gets executed when the result comes back. So effectively it becomes a callback within your code, even though that doesn't exist on the API today. And it turns out to be very useful when you're dealing with different operations and trying to create different user interfaces where you want them to be snappy and have these things happening in the background. In this case, the library is doing it all itself. And then to actually run this. So the example here that we've gone through, I'll run it in the background. And this is actually using my API key, which I set as an environment variable in there. And you may see it's actually going through and returning the results for each of those three methods. And in each case, it's the same, where it's actually returning the Boston Celtics. Now, the gem itself is pretty straightforward. I'll go ahead and pull that up. So it's all documented in terms of you can go out to the website and get all the documentations of what the API methods look like. There's different overloading of those pieces. But the real magic is here. And you can see it's actually relatively straightforward. As mentioned before, there's one resource that's available on that web service. And then you have the different types you can put in there. There's really two right now. And then you also have the ability in terms of the speech context, which is that header you set, to determine which context you want to give it the optimization for the speech API. So that's also available as part of the method signature as well. All right, and then let's do the demo. I'll bring up the Salesforce piece.
All right, so what we're going to have happen here is Darth Vader is the customer. He's calling in to my phone number. The phone number is a virtual phone number because, well, we don't quite have a way of tapping into your real phone number yet and getting access to that. So he's going to call a virtual phone number, and it's the phone number that I post on my business cards and that sort of thing. Just like if you have to use Google Voice or something like that, his phone number is an alternate phone number. And what will happen is on this call, it'll connect to me. We'll talk, and when we're done talking, I can press the pound key if I want to leave a voice note on there. That'll disconnect Darth, so he'll be done talking to me. Hopefully he's not too pissed off that I've disconnected him, because that could turn out to be bad. And so then I'll leave a message, and when I'm done leaving the message, it will let me know, great, we've got the message, we've posted it to Salesforce, and we'll have the text of the message that I left posted as a voice note so I can get reminders about what Darth Vader needed me to do.
Yeah, one of the key points here is that from a Salesforce perspective, when you're managing a sales team, one of the hardest things is after they talk to someone when they're out in the field on the mobile, is actually getting them to update that information in Salesforce. So this is both logging when the call happened, who the call happened with, and then allowing you to transcribe the notes to actually be followed. You could also push in the media itself and actually have the audio file in there as well. In this demo, we're just showing the text.
Now, if you'll notice, we've got the Salesforce screen over here,
Yeah.
and there's the customer record. It's got some notes in there already. From some
I
activity.
can do those. Yeah.
And it's going to go straight to his account. This is Darth Vader, works for Bob Ross Paints Incorporated, doing business as the Galactic Empire, so that's nice.
All right, so I'm going to call, and he'll have his own speaker, which is his microphone there.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well, hello. All right, and I'll go ahead and hang up.
So I'm pressing pound. Remember to secure that exhaust port.
All right. So it's all doing that in the background using that callback mechanism within the library. So you got that snappy user interface and not blocking on actually waiting for that transcription to come back. And if we go in here, we should see now we've got the phone call. And we have the text. It's, the soft, it's closed, right? So, and this would be one of the reasons you probably also want to post the audio file. So you have both the text that's searchable, and then the audio file you could always refer back to as well. All right? We also have a booth over in the lounge as well. So if you want to go into more detail, hack on the code a little bit, get some phone numbers to try and actually use the interfaces, etc., we'd be happy to help you out over there as well.